It's been a few weeks, but let's take a look around the garden. It is March already. We had a whole month of February with no rain, so that's a little hard. And plants thinks it is springtime, so some of my cool winter crops aren't doing so well because it's just been so warm and then rain, and they're kind of confused, and that happens. And that's why it's important to start things, you know, every couple of weeks. So just if something happened with one succession, you have another succession to plant. Or if you notice that something isn't doing well, you know, hopefully you can start a new round or something else to kind of fill in the spots. Because when you have a small garden, it's so important to, you know, have it filled up all the time. So there's always something coming out. But let's take a look. There's some changes. The big one is going to be the arbor here. So we use cattle panels and T-posts, and I plan to grow cucumbers and melons. I'm really trying to maximize my space here. And then this was the bed that had the cover crop. And I have started some carrots and radishes and some beets here. You can see the little radishes are coming up. So what I like to do is I plant carrots and radishes together, because carrots take a long time to germinate, but the radishes don't. So that way it just makes it a little easier. And then on this side will be like this half will be beets. But as you can see, you know, the cover crop is pretty much all decomposed. You can see maybe a little bit here, but in general it's really incorporated. And then again, I'll have cucumbers over by the arbor and peppers later on. I still have some onions and the strawberries. You can just see how much they have grown. They've really greened up. You can see these little guys, how fast they grow. And then on the other side of the arbor, I'm going to put flowers. So I'm getting that section ready. And then this bed just has the favas. You can see the peas. They're already starting to grow up nice. These were the first round of peas that I grew. And then these are the second ones, and they're really coming along. And as they get bigger, I'll just kind of move them over this way. And you can see this garlic here is getting nice and big. Now I still won't harvest this until June, so it's still got some time. And the favas, all the flowers. Now what happens with the favas is the ones on here, the flowers, and here, oh, here is little fava beans. You see how nice and plump they are. They actually already have some beans in here. And you can actually start, oh, and they're not furry. These ones aren't furry. Sometimes the pods are furry. But you know, this had flowers, and now the pods are here, and it's still flowering as you go up. Now I did notice that one of these started getting aphids. Like I said, it's been so warm. And the aphids like the flowers when it gets warm. So I just sprayed them down with some water, and I'll continue to do that if I see them. But this bed's doing nice. And calendula. Again, you know, I come every couple of days and I just pick them off and dry them. And the peas over here are doing well. Now this bed, last time I said I planted some kohlrabi and they didn't do so well. So between it being so warm, and I really probably should have had them bigger. You can see the cabbage is kind of struggling. So I have some more in the back, and I'm keeping them in the pots till they're bigger, and hopefully they're doing better. They'll do better. So here I've planted the potatoes. I just planted them a couple of days ago. And then this is shredded cardboard I'm using to really hold in the moisture. You can see it's nice and moist. So, especially with it being so warm and no rain. Hopefully we'll get some rain next week. Been picking broccoli. The broccoli plants are almost done. These are the collards. I can definitely pick another. And I've probably gotten 3 or 4 rounds out of these collards, and we have lots of arugula. Now this arugula I just cut completely down about a month ago, and it's come back, and I've been picking off the spinach. Here's another little guy. He's not doing so well, but and cabbage, they're almost going to be ready to pick. I don't want them to bolt again because it's been so warm. And then I've got some kales. I've taken out a couple of plants because they went to seed. But yeah, I've been picking over here beets and carrots a couple times a week. So everything's doing pretty well. And here is the little pomegranate tree. He is budding out. All these little leaves are coming, and how beautiful they are at this time. I just picked, you can see how big the fennel's getting. I just picked one today. And then cilantro, I'm letting it go to flower. You can see how pretty it is. And then the herbs, like I said, last time they were starting to really take off. So, you know, I put compost around them and they're doing really well. It always seems like thyme is the hardest one to grow here. You can see one here. And thyme here. So I'll probably, you know, mix in a couple of more thyme plants. And then I've got the onions mixed in just because there's some space. So I've been planting that out. And actually what happened was in the fall I had some onions. I'll show you them. But the lavenders here, and the lavenders here, I gave them all compost. But what I wanted to show you is in the fall I had onion and they really needed to go out, so I just clumped them. As you can see here, I just clumped them together. And then what I've been doing is taking a few clumps and separating them and planting them. Like over there, you can see, here's some that I've separated out. And then over here in the herbs, You know, I separated them and planted them out just to see, because they won't do so well so clumped together. So hopefully I can get some onions out of them. But you can see here's another little cabbage. I feel in here, I don't actually feel a head yet. But you come over to these and there's a nice little head. And again, like I said, because it's been so warm, they might not get too much bigger than this. But yeah, I say overall the garden's doing well. I will take you to the backyard and I'll show you how all the seedlings are doing. But here's kind of an overview of the garden. And you know, this is in the front yard. But you can see, you know, this arbor will be really beautiful once we have things growing. And then along here are the rocks, little nasturtiums. You can see how big the nasturtiums have gotten. And then I can actually smell, I've got 2 flowers here. They're really pretty. And I can actually smell them. Okay, let's take you into the backyard and see how the seedlings are doing. Okay, so we're here in the backyard and show you the seedlings. These are the tomatoes and peppers. So these are the first round of tomatoes. And then this is the second one. And the peppers. And then these are the third round that I decided just to put them right up in these 4-inch pots. Here's some more peppers. And more tomatoes. So they're doing okay. I probably, you know, I move them in the greenhouse every night, move them out. I have to be careful that they're not getting too much sun just because the greenhouse is pretty shaded. And I'm probably watering a little too heavy, so some of the nutrients is leaking out, but they're okay. And then you come over here. And you come over here and these are the flowers and some mixed greens. Here's a little more of the cool season crops. I just want to see if I can get a little bit more in. And I stepped them up and I'm going to let them get pretty big in these 4-inch pots. You can see how big these are. The broccolis, some more kohlrabi, Napa cabbage, spinach. These ones I just stepped up. See if I can get them a little bit bigger. But these are ones I stepped up when I put the other ones out into the garden bed. So you can see how nice these are doing. So probably give them another week or so and then I'll plant them out. I do have some cucumbers and squash. Let's see if I can just get them a little early. And then these guys. So, and then the last round of seeds I started. Little sunflowers. You can see they're coming up. And then some more cucumbers and some herbs. And they're slowly coming up. So you know, this is, I haven't had the greenhouse a year. Same thing with the garden beds. This will be my second season, the winter and then spring. So I'm just really learning how everything's going. So overall, I'm pretty happy. You know, it takes time. Even, you know, I've been doing this 13 years, but now it's at home and it's a different setting. So it takes time to kind of figure out your soil and your area and what you have to work with. So, but overall, I'm happy. And I'll show you some of my fruit trees and how well they're doing. They're starting to bloom out. So let's take a look at those. So this is the persimmon tree that I have. Now, I've never even seen a persimmon or heard of a persimmon until I worked at the farm, but they are really one of my favorite fruits in the fall, and they're really pretty. This tree is about 4 years old here, and they're a little different. So you can see here, these are its leaves, and their flowers look very similar, where they've kind of have these broad kind of leaves, and then their flower is very different. But yeah, this tree is doing really well. Well, let's go over and see the sesame. So this is my sesame. It's the oldest fruit tree here. I would say it's probably 8 to 10 years old, and it is a semi-dwarf, and it stayed pretty small until probably the last year or so. It took it a while, but you can see that it's getting some new leaves and budding out. So these are the little buds that will become flowers and become fruit. Now, last year it didn't have that many fruit, so I'm hoping this year there'll be lots of fruit, and I can see a lot of buds and blooms coming. So you can see here, these are getting really close to opening up. So, and it's so yummy. The skins come off so easily. So this is my oldest tree. And then the fig hasn't really done anything, but I'll show you the apple tree is just starting. Well, here is the apple tree, and it's starting to get some buds. So now this tree is about 4 years old. I haven't gotten too many apples from it, but hopefully this year it's looking really good. I'm going to have 2 of these trellises. They are cattle panels cut in half, and I'm going to try to grow some loofah. Now, the first round of loofahs, none of the seeds came up, so I'm going to try again. Since we have such a long season, hopefully they do well, and I still have a couple more weeks that I can start them. So, but yeah, I'm excited to grow the loofahs. Here is the lemon tree. He's looking a little sad because I heavily pruned him. I just picked a huge crop from him. But the thing here with the lemons, they almost could keep lemons all year around, and they bloom a couple times. So this will be its spring blooms, and you can just see they're starting. And there is some fruit on here, and that's just kind of how they grow here. But he will do just fine. Even though I heavily pruned him, he'll be happy. And I gave them all fertilizer about 3 weeks ago, so they'll be happy. Now that it's kind of the growing season, I'll fertilize every month, every other month. So one of the things about the fruit trees is they only get water from the washing machine. So we've plumbed it where the water from the clothes washer comes through this hose, and then I just move the hose around about every load. So that's the only water they get. That's the only water they've ever gotten. So that's how we water our fruit trees here, and I've been very happy with it. Well, that is it for today in the garden. I am happy with it. It's been keeping me busy. And things are doing pretty well. I think as most gardeners, we always hope things would do a little bit better than they are. But, you know, this is all, the beds and the greenhouse and everything is new to me. So it's just going to take some time. But I'm learning and I'm enjoying myself. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, you can put it below. And I'd like to hear, you know, what you're growing in your garden and maybe where you're from. Thank you.